All right, so we're going to talk about greatest integer functions and how you graph them. First things first, you have to have your variables memorized in the regular function. So here's the function. First, the notation for greatest integer will be brackets. And then you need to know what the a will do, the m will do, the h, and the k. So greatest integer functions that we've been studying, we've all been basing them off of linear functions. So this is just point-slope formula. So it's the same thing as picking a point or whatever, but in greatest integer function, you need to know the h and the k is going to be the greatest equivalent point closest to 0. So a, so let's just talk about memorizing your variables, because you can't do these if you don't memorize your variables. That's all it is. So a is going to be your step height. If it's positive, it goes up. If it's negative, it goes down. Your step length, how many units you're going to draw your step for, is always determined by 1 divided by whatever m is. And your h and the k values are just your start points. So just remember that in this original function, if it is plus, you're going to be shifting to the left. If it is negative, you're going to be shifting to the right. So we're just going to talk about this problem really quick, and we're just going to go through it. So let's graph this function I have down here below. So 3, that is my step height. So that means between my steps, I'm going to have a height of 3. That's all that means. 1/2 is the m. So 1 divided by 1/2 equals 2. So my step height is 2, or my step length is 2, my step height is 3. So now I just need a starting point to draw that from. And the starting point I draw that from is going to be from this value. So my h and my k are going to be actually -2, -1. All right, so remember, if it's plus inside, you're actually shifting to the left. So I go to my point, -2, 1. So over 2, up, down 1. So I plot my point. There it is. So now I go to this part, which is my step length. So I draw it over 2. Okay, put an open circle, because at the end of it can never be equal to it. And then from there, I just draw my next step. So I've got one step. So my next step is going to be 3 units up. So 1, 2, 3. And then I put a closed dot, length of 2, open circle. And I'm just going to follow this pattern now. Up, 1, 2, 3, closed dot, over 2, open circle. Going the opposite way, I go down 2, down 3, sorry. Let me erase that point. So I go down 3, 1, 2, 3, open circle, length of 2, closed dot, right? So that's essentially how you graph a greatest integer function. They're not really that hard, other than memorizing what your a, your m, your h, and your k represent. So if you didn't take the time to do that, that's what these become hard for. So let's just talk about graphing another one. Another one here for you. So the other one here is what happens if I have f of x is negative greatest integer function 1/2 x minus 2 plus 5. So first of all, let's find our starting point. We'll start a little bit different this time. We're going to start from the point 2, 5. So now I need to know my height. My step height is whatever is outside, so it's still 1. I'm just going down, okay? So to get to my next one, after I finish my first step, I go down. So my step length, right? So step length is equivalent to 1 divided by whatever m is, and that's 1/2. So 1 divided by 1/2 is equivalent to 2. So now I go through this again. So my starting point is 2, 5. So go over to the point 2, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So plot my point. And now it's just a matter of going my step length. So I have a step length of 2. Draw it over 2, open circle. So now from here, I just need to be careful. My next step is 1 down. So from here, I go down 1, plot a point, go over 2, down 1, plot a point, go over 2, down 1, plot a point, go over 2. So you follow this pattern. If I go the opposite way, it's up, open circle, left, up, open circle, left, up, open circle, left. And there you have it. That's another greatest integer function. So I hope that helps, but it's really all coming back to memorizing what the a, the m, and the h and k are. So the h and k, again, are your starting point. To figure out your step length, you will take 1 and divide it by m. And to figure out what your step height is, it is the value you are multiplying the greatest integer function by. If it is positive, your steps go up. If it is negative, like this case, your steps will go down. So I hope that helps.